mapping your value engine. So what that entails is diving into exactly how to create basically a systematic process so you can generate consistent and scalable business growth. And we'll go ahead and dive right in. All right, so how to map your value engines. So a quick little overview. We're going to dive into exactly what that is, the value engine framework. Then we're going to review identifying your market, creating an irresistible offer. We'll jump into what it looks like to create a high converting funnel, some traffic generation strategies for you guys, how to measure and optimize, and mapping your value engine. All right, so why most people document processes in the wrong order. Some of the big mistakes that you can see out there, when you go to document your process is doing it in the wrong order. The first step is not to document all of your company's critical tasks. So you wouldn't just come in and say, okay, this is what it looks like for us to request vacation time, and this is what it looks like for us to, take a day off. Really, what it comes down to is that's step number two. The first thing you want to do is map out your value engines. So, yeah, step one is to map out your company's core value creation processes, aka your value engines. And only then can you identify those truly critical activities that need to be done and documented in a checklist or an SOP, right? So otherwise, you end up with something that looks like this. It's kind of like, hey, we do a little bit of this, we do a little bit of that. We might look at documenting this process, or this is how these things work. But you might look like my favorite meme from Sunny in Philadelphia, where you're trying to explain how all of those processes work and how everything comes together. Um, Quote that I like from Ryan Dice, if you guys have ever heard of him. But he says, "Good people don't fix broken systems break good people." So we're going to dive into what that process looks like for you guys today. Even if you're just a team of one, if you're on here and you're like, "Well, I only manage myself, so maybe this doesn't work for me." The best time to get this process done and do it right from the get-go is when there's only one of you. As you grow your team, as you bring on even uh, VAs or anything like that, which we'll dive into next week, they're still going to need those processes from you. And, best time to do that is right now. So, what is a value engine? It's a systematic process for generating consistent and scalable business models and long-term success. And it consists of three main areas for your business. So today we're going to dive into growth and what that looks like for you. But you also want to create a value engine around delivery and innovation. So the growth engine framework, the first value engine that guides your customer acquisition strategy. That's what we're going to be diving into today. And so what this helps you do is identify your market, craft an irresistible offer, create a high converting sales funnel, traffic generation strategies, and then how you measure and optimize that. So step one, identify your market. This is an overview of our previous training on this, but for those of you who hadn't joined us on that last call before Steve's, um, a quick overview so you know how all these things come together as we start to map out the growth engine on this call. So first thing you want to do is define your ideal customer profile. So their demographics, psychographics, their pain points, challenges, problems that they face. And then you want to do that market research on them. So whether you do that via survey, interviews, this could be in a Facebook group, this could be on any publication out there that provides that information through data analysis. And then step two is about crafting that irresistible offer, right? So getting down your value proposition. What makes your product or service unique and valuable? What makes somebody want to do business with you because you've grabbed their attention by that unique value prop, right? Creating an offer. So laying out the benefits, having a pricing strategy, and obviously incentives and bonuses to capture their attention. And then step three is about creating a high converting sales funnel. And this is where you're going to dive into that awareness, interest, decision, and action steps. Um, so part of this growth engine process is really, as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, it's not about, hey, how do we back to my example, how do we request vacation time? Really, the things that you want to document first are how you create value in the marketplace, how you get people's attention, how you offer them your services, and then how you deliver them. So as we go through everything in here, just keep that in mind, because as we get to the part of mapping out that growth engine and bringing all these pieces together, that will start to make sense.
So, guys, just a little bit of context here. So, as I mentioned, Kyle is our head of operations. He is the man when it comes to creating all of our systems and making sure those wheels are turning. And Kyle and I have a set meeting every week, where we call it our back of house meeting, which is, okay, so what's going on, out the back of the house? Where do we need to put our time? And the question of who do we serve and how do we serve them and are we doing the best thing is the question that dominates our conversations every single week. So in terms of creating the systems that work, making sure that your value engine is mapped out properly is our number one focus, because it really drives everything else. Who cares about how the team are going to apply for vacation time if you haven't got any customers to serve and your business is not actually working and turning? So this is such a critical cog in the wheel of making your engine turn. It just literally becomes the number one piece that drives everything else.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. All right. So yeah, going into, funnel optimization, as Walt mentioned, um, other little things that might seem important at the time for the team, like how to, request vacation. If there's nobody coming through the funnel, if there's nobody making it to the landing page, if there's nobody coming through for your email sequences, um, everything like that, then obviously there's no business. And point of having a business is to create customers, right? So step four is about traffic generation. So when you look at your growth engine, there's obviously paid traffic and there's organic traffic. So can either do this through Google Ads, social media ads, and this is the point where you're going to map out, okay, how do people find us through our traffic sources? That's the start of your growth engine, and how do they interact with us from that point? Organic traffic, if you've got white label suite, obviously that becomes a lot easier for you to connect with your ideal prospects, invite them to your funnel, uh, reach out to them, where they are, email them. And then there's content marketing. So putting out blog posts, videos, infographics, getting on social media and getting that info out there. Other channels, affiliate marketing and partnerships. This is huge too. Going back to what I said at the beginning, if you're a company of one, a manager of one, and you might not feel like, well, I don't need to necessarily create these things because it's just me. I know what I'm doing. I know what's going on. Again, if you don't have these things mapped out, it becomes super hard to create an affiliate program around something that somebody else doesn't understand, because you've got all that information in your head and um, they don't know how you attract prospects and customers. They don't know how you work with them. They don't know how you deliver. They don't know how you support them. And so then it becomes super hard for an affiliate program to be developed and for them to be successful if they don't know how things work in your business, right? Same thing goes with a partnership. When you go to collaborate with somebody and you're trying to create a mutual benefit, they need to understand how your business works. Um, they need to understand how people are serviced. If they're going to send their you know, lists to you, if they're going to send their clients to you, they're going to want to trust that you've got a process in place to take care of them. So if you don't, it becomes super hard to get those partnerships going. Step five, you're deciding how you measure and optimize your business. So key metrics, deciding on Okay, is conversion rate the most important thing to us? Is customer acquisition cost the most important thing? Is the lifetime value the most important thing? Deciding how you measure what you do for your business to attract, to convert, to nurture, to support, becomes a big part of your growth engine when you're mapping that out. And then deciding how you optimize, right? Do you A/B test? Is that part of your process? So every campaign that you create, every web page, funnel, do you A/B test everything? Do you look at different analytics? Do you use Google Analytics? Do you use Facebook Pixel? Do you use Google Tag Manager? Or any of those other softwares that are out there to help you analyze and optimize what you have going on. So, why did we go through all of those things first? Um, it's important to know the value you provide and to whom. It's important to understand how you get their attention. It's important to first understand the way in which you deliver value, how you support your clients, how you deliver on those promises. And then it's super important to understand how you measure it, right? What you don't measure doesn't get managed. What you don't manage doesn't matter. So, without those things in place, it becomes super hard to map out this next step here to map out that entire growth engine, so you understand exactly how your business works. So, mapping your growth engine. What you're going to need, you can do this with software that creates visuals like Canva, ClickUp, Lucid, Miro. There's 1,000 different things out there that you can use for that. Or you can keep it old school, grab a whiteboard, some sticky notes, dry erase markers, Sharpies. Although I wouldn't recommend using the Sharpie on the whiteboard, keep that on sticky notes. But you can also, use that method as well to help you map those things out. And when mapping it out, it's common for stages to be added, deleted, things are moved around as you go, well, maybe this piece doesn't fit. Maybe we actually start with this one. Maybe this is how we actually deliver on that process. So before you draw your lines, connect the dots, make sure you got those things in place first. I like to keep it simple with different, shapes. Again, if you're using a software, most of them provide different things that you can use to map out different steps, data points where people come into the funnel, exit the funnel, different things like that, depending on what you're mapping. So you can keep those pretty simple. We've got laid out here for you. And again, you guys will have a copy of these slides in our community so you can see these different things. But so yeah, just looking at keeping it simple. The pill could be the start or the end. The square could be a standalone task or activity that you mapped out with that. Diamond could be a decision point or a gateway. Parallelogram, it's a big word. It's used for
I told you not to
data
do that to
endpoint.
Australians, man.
I know, right? Just thinking about that. I was like, I'm gonna have to get the crayon for that one.
Right.
The line, obviously connecting all those elements, showing the flow. This one's got an arrow on it. So people on your team, in your business, your affiliates, whoever you're showing your growth engine to and explaining to them, this is how the business works. That's how you will show the direction of the flow. So mapping your growth engine. This doesn't have to be some crazy, mission impossible map of how you're going to solve the problem of generating customers, getting traffic, converting them, nurturing them, supporting them. It can be as simple as here's what we use to drive traffic. Here's the funnel that they go to. Here's the conversion points. So whether that's like a lead magnet, or signing up for something free, they just give their email address to, and then the data that you collect and how you nurture them. Like this would be the basic start of your growth engine. But as I mentioned, even taking that a step further, you can go, okay, well, if they land on the funnel, then we retarget them. If nothing happens, then we collect the data. So just keeping it as simple as possible makes those things really easy to map out. And then the next part of that would be, okay, who's committed / responsible for each of these steps? Where does, if you have a VA, where does this person start that process for you? If you've got a specific team member who is responsible for funnel creation, okay, where do they come in, right? Who's responsible for creating the lead magnet? Who's responsible for creating the nurture campaign? Who's responsible for following up on that? Now, if you're sitting here going, well, these are all me, again, it's important to still map that out so even you understand that, okay, I have a process in place. This is how it works. Um, because obviously, if you have all those things in your head and you just try to keep track of those steps and what you're supposed to be doing on a daily basis to keep things moving in your growth engine, it becomes super hard to do that if all those things are just in your head. Um, Walt, you look like you wanted to say something right there.
Yeah, I do. um, Guys, just do me a favor. This might seem an abstract question, but just do me a favor. Who would love to have somebody buy their business at some point, and give them a big chunk of money, and at least take some time off and enjoy the fruits of their labor? Who would like to exit a business? Not me, says Potty. Okay, fair enough. Give me a one if getting someone to buy your company would be a thing that would be attractive to you. And Potty, I'll rephrase. What if we added a zero to that? What if we added 2 zeros to whatever number you had in your head? Would you consider it in 1 to 6 years? Okay, cool. Yeah. So, what I wanted to say at this particular point is, so Kyle mentioned something specific, which was, even if all of these steps are you, we're going to cover that a little bit more, and especially next week. Even doing this map, imagine that you're sitting in front of somebody who's willing to write you a check. Has got a number on that check. Having this map, even as simple as this on the screen right now, will increase the value of the asset that you have. If you're looking to create value of your company, there's a reason why this map is so important, because it clearly shows a start to finish, or start to never-ending finish, but a start to progression for your business as a unit, right? So somebody who's looking to come in and purchase your business or acquire you can see exactly how we put this thing together and how much fuel we need to put in at the front to get the result at the end. Now, what if you have no intention of selling? The fact that it makes it more valuable should tell you something. It makes it more valuable because it makes that whole journey run to a plan, right? It clearly shows you. So there's so many times as a business owner, I can absolutely vouch for this. There's so many times that you feel like, oh my God, it's all just going on. And if you've got a rock to come back to, you can go, sweet, where am I up to? What am I doing? What do I need to focus on? And what do I need to do to move that needle, right? So even if you have no intention of selling, mapping this out gives you a strong grounding to stand on, and allows you to really put your focus on where you need it to be.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up. For even if you don't intend on selling it, how many people, drop a one here in the comments, how many people love walking into something different every single day and just letting it all hit you in the face as you sign in, as you try to figure out what's going on, as you look at your business and go, man, I wonder what's going to happen today. How many people like walking into that?
-1. Potty says
Minus
one.
one.
So yeah, so like some people are just adrenaline junkies, right?
You're like, sweet, roll the dice. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
let's spin the chamber. Let's see what's going on today.
Right.
Yeah. So exactly. I think when Kyle joined us, guys, and again, I have to, I'm giving you mad props, man, because when Kyle joined us, that was our business. We had energy and we had excitement. And one of the things, so Kyle joined us with an incredible background and brought just the incredible person that he is to our team. And one of the first things I asked Kyle was, okay, you've been with us for a little while. What would you do differently? And the first thing out of his mouth was, he said, I'd stop doing everything different every day. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you guys are so like, let's go. So much energy going on, which hasn't changed. He said, but what that's doing is you're recreating every day. You're creating, like, he said, like, let's just map out our plan, our path, our direction so that we can scale this sucker. Um, so, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners succeed by, we call it brute force, right? Succeed by brute force. Just do more, just get in. Like it's almost a cliche that's the way that things run. But that doesn't give you any peace, right? It doesn't give you any mind space to grow the essential components of your business because you're so frantic. So mapping this out is just like such an incredibly grounding and directional piece. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I like the way that Alex Hermosi put this one time where, okay, would you rather fill 12 different buckets every day with different amounts of water, or would you rather have one bucket that you fill every single day and that's all that you focus on, right? So it becomes super easy to know exactly, okay, when we come in, we know that this is already happening in the business. The team is already working on that. The next step is this. The end goal is there, and we take all of that energy that our team has and we channel it into the growth engine, right? To
Mm.
something specific that says, okay, this is how we do what we do it when we do it, and how we support it, how we deliver, and and I say, well, that's it. But obviously, there's a lot of components in there. But once you know those things that are supposed to happen on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, and you can look back and go, okay, this worked because we knew that's what we were trying to accomplish. We had to tweak this. That didn't work. Okay, let's stop doing that. Let's focus on this over here a little more. All right, cool. And then that becomes that monitor and optimize point, right? Um, but yeah, even if even if you are a team of one, you still want to have these things mapped out. Something too to give you guys that perspective. I know Dave asked a question in here earlier about object would be to systemize, then grow that system to a certain revenue, then multiply it by 5. If you're doing the right things and you have the right private equity company come along, you can multiply that by 20 if you want to. Um, but to your point there, Dave, if you've got that system in place and you have the MRR in place, and a company can come in and look at a system that essentially runs on its own. It doesn't depend on the owner. It doesn't depend on a single point of contact that knows everything, knows everybody, knows how it works, and that's it. And if they lose them, the business crumbles. That's obviously the last point that you want to be at in there. And just so you guys know too, Walt mentioned, and I'll just mention this because it's super important about what we're talking about. The previous company that I came from was sold to private equity, and when Walt, the guys brought me on, they said, "Well, what was the point that they were like, yeah, we want to purchase this company?"
Mm.
I said, it's because we had all of those things documented, literally
Yep.
in ClickUp. The entire company was documented from start to finish, A to B. This is what happens. This is who does what. This is what things look like. This is how we make decisions. This is how we, every single thing that they could take and go, thank you, and buy it and keep moving on. Right. So just wanted to mention that too, as Dave was asking about it as well.
Yeah. And the scalability, like the ability to do things more and more and create, guys, we create a freedom-based business, really. So Carl, I don't know, I'm not sure how many slides. Can I share a doc that you and I worked on a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah,
One of our
go for it.
one guys, this is one of our growth engine maps, exactly what Kyle is teaching here. Like, I'm going to keep it on the screen just for a second or two so you guys can see. We're talking about where does the traffic come from, all right? And then each point of this we're diving into what happens when they land on the community page, what happens when they land on a specific sales page, how do affiliates bring in, like, all of this. And then there's pieces of these puzzles that have got a lot more detail in. The the thought then, and I mentioned two things. We're looking to create a freedom-based business. So who who's heard it too many times? You need to create SOPs, you need to have systems, you need to train your team, all that kind of stuff, like working on your business. This is kind of the mantra, right? But the goal, the thing at the end of that path is freedom. Yeah. Like that's the currency we're dealing in. It's freedom. It's freedom of time, right? And that must be achieved before freedom of money can take place. Why? Because I think one of our team here, Potty, was just saying he loves coming in and the excitement and all that kind of stuff. That great, but you can't make big moves if you're frantic, right? So how does this all relate? Kyle said, even if all of these steps are just you, right? So what we need to do is map this out. And then as Kyle said, now we've got an understanding of how our engine works. Now we can go into each piece and we can say, cool, how does this work? This piece works like this. And if you're literally building an instructional manual. And as Kyle said, his last company was acquired for a pretty decent sum because the buyer said, how does this thing work? And they were able to go, here's the manual. Step 1, step 2, step 3, this works like this operates like this. And we're going to talk about this we're going to talk about this concept of what if all of those steps are just me at the moment? It's just me. I'm a solopreneur. I'm doing all that kind of stuff. Mapping this out allows you to start to say, okay, so what does it take to make that piece work? How do you structure a landing page? Pop a few things out. Where do you traffic? Who's your ideal customer? What are things you're working on? Once you have those pieces of the growth engine mapped, then you can start to build the different chapters of that manual, if you like, right? And then we talk about, cool, now I can bring someone in and they can operate that engine piece for me. And Kyle, we had an amazing, again, piece of that just yesterday or the day before, which I gave you a huge shout out for on Slack. Guys, as you know, we probably, if you've dived into the software lately, we just had a massive update, which is a bit of cool. All right, where are we at? There's new things going on. There's new client requests, all that kind of stuff. And there's a piece that allows us to train, and when people are coming in, we do what's called a product tour. Click here, click on that, do this, do that. And what was incredible was Kyle was able to say, cool, I created a training on how to build that. So anyone in the team can fill in those blanks, and it doesn't all rely on one person. Again, we're talking about freedom, guys, talking about freedom. The number one currency for an entrepreneur is freedom. And the only way to do that is to map what it looks like. Because otherwise, how do you know? Right? So creating this growth engine map, allowing us to see from start to finish, what does my business look like? How do people come into it? Allows us to create that freedom that, again, next week, guys, you're going to want to tune in. Next week, we've got Jeff Hunter, who's the head of VA staffer, going to be talking to us exactly about how to create this freedom business. But you got to have the map first. Yeah, you got to have it built out. So, Carl, sorry, man. Back over to you.
No,
Norman, that
all
was on
good.
ClickUp, yeah.
Yeah. Just back to this guy here. All right. So yeah, obviously jumping back into the growth engine. And as Walt mentioned, once you've got this mapped out, then you can start to see, okay, super important thing here too is as we talk a little bit about next week and replacing yourself. And one of the biggest things that I see come up all the time is, well, if I hire somebody, then I've got to spend, as an example, I've got to spend $500 for a VA per month. I don't know if my business can handle that. I don't know if your business can afford not to do that, right? Because if that person comes in and takes 25 things away from you that you've mapped out on here that you're doing on a daily or weekly basis, and they just freed you up for 5 more, sales calls or opportunities to get in front of people, or more time to think about your business and what the next step is and what, the move that you're trying to make, um, they're worth 10 times more than the $500 a month you're paying them for whatever they've replaced that was on your plate, right? So as you map this out and you start to think about, now this is just one value engine, right? This is the growth engine. As you look into, um, your delivery and innovation, then you can start to look at, all right, here's how the company grows. Here's how people enter into our space, how we nurture them, how we sell them, how we service them, support them. Okay, great. Now here's how we deliver on those promises. Here's how we bring everything to them that we're like, okay, here's our software. Here's how you use it. Here's how you do it. Then you can start to look at, all right, here's the steps that we take to keep innovating on those processes or your product or service. Then you've got time to think about, what does that look like? I have these ideas that come to me. I mean, we're all human, right? Every single day we've got new ideas, we've got new things that we're like, oh man, it'd be great if we could do this. Be awesome if we could work on that. And then you look at your business and go, oh, I've got to do these 100 other things by myself first, so
Mm.
that'll have to wait. Um,
You end up
but
with a,
once you
end up with
map
a
out,
folder full of good ideas that never get
yeah,
actioned.
exactly. Or an Instagram account full of saved reels because you're like, man, this thing was awesome.
Oh, man, I'll come back to
Um,
that one day. I'm sure I will.
yeah, I'll come back to it 10 years from
That's why
now.
you need freedom of time. You need freedom
Right.
of time.
But then, mapping out that innovation engine lets you know, okay, when I have an idea, it goes into a board, right? If you have a team, then whenever you meet regularly, you talk about that idea. When are we going to implement it? When are we going to innovate this, uh, piece in our service? What does it look like to change things up from the feedback that we're getting? Now you're creating a loop that says, okay, here's how we grow, here's how we deliver, here's how we innovate. Grow, deliver, innovate. Grow, deliver, and say that 10 times fast. Um, but then you start to create a value engine and the wheels start turning. Then momentum becomes something that's on your side instead of that inertia that you're pushing against first. Right when you're trying to get your business off the ground, you're trying to make a move, you're trying to get the next client, you're trying to do all of those things. And we're not going into a physics lesson here because that's not my specialty, but that inertia is working against you. And once you've got that engine turning, then you can turn things onto your side, which is momentum. Then it starts to feel like you're making progress, things are moving. And I'm not going to say it's all downhill from there because you're going to have your challenges, but that momentum is finally on your side until you've got these things mapped out, you've got an engine working in your favor. It's super hard to create that momentum because then you're just fighting those tasks that you have to do every
Yeah.
day. You're fighting the things that are on your plate, on your calendar. Then you start to build a business that you resent. Then you'll regret it.
Yeah.
Then it will probably be no more.
Yep.
So, um, yeah,
That sounds like a huge melodramatic spin, right? If you don't do this, you will die. I mean, um, just stop share for a second, man. I'll come face to face here. If you don't do this, you will die. Guys, um, I'm being literal. I'm being literal, you know? Uh, it was about four years ago for me that I was in complete and total burnout, because I'd been doing this by myself for 3, 4, 5 years, thinking I got this, I'm a superstar. And I just absolutely bottomed out. Like, I was so frantic, throwing things around. We were making money. Yeah, making money. But at one point that stopped because we stopped turning the engine. We just started fighting fires. And fighting fires on a downhill slope meant that I was literally getting to the bottom of the barrel. And when I say, if you don't do this, it will kill you, I'm being literal. And I share this with the hope and the understanding that it may help an entrepreneur at some point. The best thing my wife did when our money troubles started was cancel my life insurance, because at the bottom of the barrel, it became an option. And I was thinking about that would be the way that I could help my family best, because I couldn't get myself out of the weeds. Now, like, take a dark turn, right? It was an amazing turnaround. And I share that openly. Again, entrepreneurship is a tough battle if you're doing it on your own. What Kyle's talking about here, about mapping out your value engine, right? And then, as he just held up on the screen, first we do the customer acquisition piece and that journey. Then we do the delivery piece. Then we do the innovation piece. Mapping this out lets you just stop for a second, take 5-10 minutes, take an hour, take a day, take a week, however long it takes to just put this down, allows you to have a clear guideline and map. From there, and again, we're going to talk about bringing in a team next week, but from there, it is much, much, much easier to get back on track if you get off, right? And the trouble with going crazy and just working your ass off is that you don't have the time to get back on track. You're so busy existing that you're actually not able to grow. And again, I'm sharing this and it's a dark twist because so many entrepreneurs bust everything they've got. And as Kyle said, then you'll get to the point where you've built a business that you resent. Then you're gonna burn out. Then things like it goes down on a spiral that's been repeated millions of times. So we're trying to help you guys prevent that. We all got into business to create freedom for ourselves, right? That was, like I've said it proudly before. I'd still take that down path because I was free to be with my kids, right? And I had, I was working 80, 100-hour weeks, but they were my time, right? And I still would do it. The thing is that we never, ever want to trade our freedom. And what Kyle's just laid out there is the opportunity to make sure that you never have to. Yeah. So creating these maps, guys, creating these mapped out value engine pieces are such a critical piece of this business. I can't emphasize it enough. So if you can see what you need to do, then you can keep on track, get back on track, get other people to help you, and that engine will push further and further and further forward. The greatest gift that Kyle's given me, I've said this to him before, is his own skills and ability in this area, which has given Johan and myself time to step back and think and create some amazing things, which we'll be sharing with you guys soon, that literally add millions of dollars to the business. It's not about how hard we worked. It was about how much the system was working with us and for us so that we could go, hey, what about that direction? How about this new opportunity? What about that time freedom that we were able to achieve? So as I said, it's when Kyle said, if you don't do this, you'll end up having a business that you resent. It'll end up owning you. All of that is 100% true. And it's not a simple fix, what I was talking about before. But there are pieces of that puzzle which can be put into place that have been done by people before you. And as Kyle said, it's just putting it down on paper, making sure that you've got a clear direction, start to finish, so we know where we are, right? Alice in Wonderland, when I love that story, came up to the Cheshire Cat and said, which path should I take? And the cat said, well, that very much depends on where you want to go. And Alice said, I don't much care where I end up. And the cat said, well, then it doesn't really matter which path you choose. Wow. Hang on a second. Let me say that again. If you don't really care where you end up, then it doesn't matter what path you choose. Makes sense, right? But I feel like you do care about where you end up. So then it very much matters which path you take, right? So we start with, what do I want? At the end of that, what do I want it to look like? What do I want my business to look like? And I've had this conversation with entrepreneurs over the last couple of weeks. How long do you want to keep working? And what does your business look like? And the number one thing that every entrepreneur I've spoken to, some at an incredibly high level, have said to me is, I want a business that operates without me. Does that resonate with anyone? Who else wants a business that operates without them? Give me a one if that's you. Yep, Nick says one. Who else wants a freedom-based business? Yep, there it is. Anybody not want it? Like the number one thing that entrepreneurs are looking for is a business that operates without them. Why? So I can think, so I can move, so I can create a strategic partnership that might bring $10 million into the company. I can't do that if I'm burned out in the weeds working at midnight, right? So if you want a business that operates without you, what you need to do is create the instruction manual. And this is where it starts, building these value engines. Kyle, thanks, man. Drop back over to you. Guys, I hope I said that well, because it's an important part. We are here as a company. We are here to help and enable entrepreneurs to achieve the freedom in their lives that they're looking for. This is a piece of that. creating the maps that allow the business to run without you so that you can do incredible things. But this is such a crucial piece, right?
Yeah, thank you, Walt. Um, Rick, to answer your question, isn't SaaS how you can get there? It is a way,
It's definitely a way.
but you can still fall into that trap of, okay, if you have a SaaS-based business, but you're the one who does all the service, there's your 100 hours a week. It doesn't matter if the software is there, you will still get stuck at a point that you haven't mapped out, that you haven't replaced yourself in. And your business will only grow to the what I know is the pain line, which is the amount of pain that you can tolerate on a daily basis, and that's where it'll stop. Right? Now, some people are really good and they have a super high pain tolerance, and they can do things for 16, 18 hours a day, but at some point their body will tell them that's enough. I've been there too myself, and it'll shut down. It'll tell you to go to sleep for a couple of days, and that's it. You're done. So, um, yeah, your business will only grow to that pain line, and the point is not to endure more pain and have
Yeah.
better endurance. The point is to replace yourself as soon as possible. So, um, yeah, that actually brought us to the stopping point of the presentation there, Walt. So, would like to take the last.
I killed it.
That's it. It's done.
It's done. We're
Um,
out.
but no, wanted to take the last 15 minutes to obviously open it up for Q&A for you guys. I am getting some questions around just a simple map to help you get started. I'll make sure you guys have that. We'll drop it in the community under this training. But yeah, just to give you guys an idea of um, just a little template of what that looks like, where to start, how to map out those certain points that we mentioned on the call, and go from there. But yeah, I can definitely get you guys a template of that. We'll drop it below the training.
So, guys, if you've got a question, use the emotions bar down the bottom of the Zoom. There's one there that's got a raise hand. If you've got a question, raise a hand. I think we need to ask you to unmute. So yeah, Rick, we've got all of the new training with app.whitelabel suite, all the new changes up on our YouTube videos. So drop into the community, you'll see the links there, and we will you'll be able to walk through that, and we'll do separate training on that as well. So we've got obviously new release. There's some big things in there, like everything's different. Not really, everything's just changed where you might find it on the screen, but we've done that for specific reasons, which we'll go through. But all of the training is already in place on the YouTube. Drop into the community, you'll see that. And of course, we're going to do separate trainings on that coming up. Yeah, so community link is community.whitelabelsuite.com or whitelabelsuite.com/community. Either way, you can get in. Or you can, the easiest way by far, actually, let me redact my comment. The easiest way by far is log in to app.whitelabelsuite.com, app.whitelabelsuite.com, which is where we keep everything, where everything's stored, app.whitelabelsuite.com. And once you've logged in, just go on the left-hand side to resources and click the community button, and you'll jump straight in there. That's the absolute easiest way. So we've got a couple of questions. I've got Dave Smith with his hand up, and I've got Potty with his hand up there as well. Can't wait to hear from you guys. If you've got a question and you're shy, feel free to type it, and we will jump across to you. Dave, let me ask you to unmute there and fire away.
Fascinating thing, Kyle and Walt, about this systemizing your business for the potential of you stepping away. You know what I do for a living, and
So Dave's a business coach, everyone.
I'm sorry?
Dave's a business coach, just telling everybody else what Dave does for a living.
So when I try to clarify your passion and your purpose for your business, I find that interesting to want to have it self-operate and you step away, because it's hard to do that when you have a passion.
Mm.
So as a coach, I'm paid for my knowledge and what I say.
Mm.
So to systemize, I take what we have here at White Label Suite, and I have to build a system, say through funnels, through drip campaigns, through compelling offers, or things that I sell. So it's a challenge to build that.
Yeah.
So if you don't pay someone to do it all for you, even if it's complicated, then you got to learn and you got to jump in and dig in and do it yourself, which you know, Walt, that I fought with and I did.
Yeah.
So when you do that, your system can step away from possibly things that you sell. Like if you're offering leads or packages, which I've created, you can actually sit back and watch that work. But if your passion in business is to interact with your customers or clients, a VA is kind of interesting to bring into that somehow, because
Yeah, it's a really great point.
you're as good as what you say to people.
Yeah.
So
So this is a really interesting point, guys. And Dave, I reflect exactly, the same sentiment. For me, my guys, you see my little bits when I'm on my soapbox. My absolute passion is in helping entrepreneurs to succeed and to break through barriers and to create incredible businesses. That's what gets me juiced, right? Absolutely. I'm just like ready to rock. I can run through walls. Yeah. But here's all the other things that a business needs. You need to build landing pages. You need to create funnels. You need to have your email campaign set up and running. You need to be able to support your clients and answer support tickets. You need to be able to coordinate trainings and Zoom meetings just like this. You need to be able to acquire new customers, support new customers, deliver the thing. There's one thing that you're good at, Dave. I mean, there's a million things we do, right? So let me turn it back on myself. There's one thing that I'm good at. You see that up on the wall? Johan gave me that as a gift, because when I talk to entrepreneurs, there's one thing that we do that is so magical that nobody else can do it. That's the magic of your business. That's what we call the unique ability, right? So even as a business coach, there are literally millions of business coaches around the world, but there's only one Dave Smith. And there's only one Walt Bayliss. And there's only one Potty Crane. And there's only one David West, right? There's only one of you. So despite the fact that there's a million other business coaches out there, when I talk to someone, nobody else can give them what I do, because that's me. That's my internal, that's my spark, right? Cool. So if I want to build a really, really great business and my passion is for that one piece of it, the trouble that we're looking at here and that we're discussing in this series this month is that there's so many other pieces of the puzzle that come with running a business. Doesn't matter if it's big or small, right? Doesn't matter if you're just paying the bills and bringing things in. And Dave, as much as I admire the fact that you fought through the tech battle, you got understanding and build, like your knowledge of building all those funnels and everything like that is so good now. It's amazing. You've done that. You've done the work. Here's my question, and I hate it, but here's my question to you. How much more money would be in your bank account if somebody else did that for you and you just concentrated on performing your magic? If somebody else was selling the tickets and you're the one on stage, right? Like somebody said this to me once, and I want to, again, guys, I hope I say this well, because this is me trying to give you the gift that I've got, right? So somebody said this to me. When the Rolling Stones put on a concert, tickets sell from anywhere from, I don't know, $100 up to $1,000 just to be in that stadium, in that arena. There's 400 people that are in the setup crew. 400 people. There's 30-something semi-trailers of equipment that they bring into the stadium. 400 people. Takes them 3 weeks to create the stage show. Right? Mick Jagger rocks up in a limo maybe an hour or two before the concert, stands on stage for 90 minutes, and gets back in the limo and drives home. Not a single person in that stadium would be disappointed with the amount of time that Mick Jagger, because that's what they paid for. They paid to see the Stones on the concert stage blasting out their magic, right? And yet all of that happened with hundreds of people around them and an incredible amount of work, but Mick Jagger turned up and sang. right? Now, guys, we all have stadiums that we're building around the show. Nobody buys tickets to the stadium build unless you're a stadium builder. People buy tickets to watch the show, right? People pay for the brilliance of the person on the stage in the spotlight at the center. Dave, your magic is in that interaction with people. That's your passion, and that's what I want you to do for the rest of your life. And what that means is we need to put you on stage more often. We need to sell more tickets to the show, right? But here's the gig. If you're the one out there designing the billboards, which is the websites, right? Being the ticket seller, which is the guy driving the traffic, if you're all of those roles, then you're not on stage performing. And even if you are on stage performing, you're burned out and tired. Yeah? So this is what I said to Kyle a couple of weeks ago in one of our discussions, is that no matter what form of entertainment you like, whether it might be sports, might be theater, might be movies, whatever it is, in any one of those scenarios, there's a player or a superstar that performs in the spotlight, right? If you're looking at the NFL, right, the top football league, there's the top paid quarterback in the world. That guy is on 35 million, right? 35 million bucks for the year. And he's on the field for 45 minutes this week. So what makes a guy worth 35 million to perform once a week for 45 minutes? It's all the work he does off the field, all the practice, all making himself better, making himself so good at his craft that when he stands on his field, the whole world stops to watch, right? So if you're busy doing other stuff, you're not perfecting your craft. You're not becoming that master so that people pay that high-end price for you to work with them, right? So again, Dave, I love the fact that you battle through, right? It proves the fight that you have. And when we're talking about outscaling, getting your, how do I create an SOP? How do I bring in a VA for a business that is me? Again, think about that Mick Jagger story, right? The guys building the stage are not making $2 million for that show. They're getting paid an hourly wage. Only the Stones are getting the royalties, right? Because they are the magicians. And in your business, guys, in your business, you are the magician, right? In your business, you are the magician. You're the reason why people do business with you. I can buy Go High Level from any one of 70,000 people on this planet who have a Go High Level membership right now. So why should I buy from you? Because when you buy from those guys, you get those guys. When you buy from me, you get me. Every single one of us has the magic inside of us that makes our business hum, makes it the thing that is unique, right? So what we're talking about here in this series that Kyle's put together for us about achieving the freedom is not about stepping back from your business going, I'm out. Although that might be the dream for a lot of us. Right? It might be the dream that you're just sitting on a beach drinking Mai Tais and the bank account just keeps on ringing. Sweet. But there's something that you do that you love, Dave, in your case, connecting, communicating. That piece, what a true freedom business looks like is that you get to do that and nothing else. What would business look like if you had a team of people doing the acquisition, doing the building, doing all that kind of stuff, and you were able to really put your time in so that when that person turned up at your doorstep, you were able to charge them 5 times more because the work you would do would be 5 times more intense. You'd do more work with them in an hour than you could have done in a month because everything else in your business is running the way it should be, right? So creating a freedom business is about creating the freedom to do what you want to do during the day while the rest of the stadium is being built by the other members of your team. All right. So Dave, I know I've got a follow-up question there, but I've got Potty waiting. So do you mind if I just jump across to Potty and I'll come back to your follow-up? Tyler, I've got a question there from you as well, which is great. There you go. Okay, cool. So I'm going to ask Potty to unmute and then I'll come back to you, Dave. Go, Potty.
How's it going, bro?
Hey, man, I'm good. How are you?
Good from Ireland. Good from Ireland. I love your energy. I love your
Thank you.
energy.
Appreciate it. I grew it myself.
I just wanted to ask you. I heard you saying the white label thing. I'm basically I just like you're saying hiring a team. I went through the exact same thing a few years back. I lost £150,000
Wow.
running my business, and but it was a valuable lesson I take from that. It's a blessing and a lesson in disguise. I lost £150,000 starting a music school and basically lost all the money because I didn't have systems in place. What you're talking about, what you guys are talking about, I didn't know how to run it. I was managing 7 teachers, 4 music classes per month. I did not know have any systems, but from that, that's where I get into marketing, and that's where I am now. I'm learning all this marketing, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's so important for people to have systems in place as soon as they start a business. So I completely agree with what you're saying.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I think like for so many years, I was frustrated by the phrase. Who's heard this phrase? You got to work on your business, not in your business. And I could not find a single person to explain to me what that meant. For
Tony
10
Robbins.
years, I'd heard that thrown about like in every freaking business meeting I'd ever been to. You got to work on your business, not in your business. What do you mean? Nobody could actually tell me what they mean until Kyle
Tony
stepped
Robbins.
into our world, right? And he said, what do we mean by that is exactly what we're talking about here. As simple as it sounds, stand back and map it, right? We don't have to start with, okay, click the left-hand button, and then we don't have to start there. And in fact, as Kyle said in his materials that you need, right? He said you need a whiteboard marker and a Sharpie. Why? Because my whiteboard markers are actually up on my whiteboard. Because a whiteboard marker doesn't allow you to get into the fine detail. You got to stay big, right? Drawing circles, making things like this is it. Only once you get that, then we take out the ballpoint and we go, all right, now what do we mean by that specific step? How do we get that to actually work? How do we put this together, right? So I talked about this being the manual to drive in your car, your value engine, yeah? The engine that is driving your freedom and your business. First, we create the manual and then we fill in the chapters. This is us creating the manual, right? This is us saying, how do we acquire customers? Map 1, right? How do we deliver our product? Map 2. And even if it's only you, guys, even if it's only you in your business, please do this. Because then when it's not only you in your business, the next people coming in to help you and guide you and work with you will be able to do so quickly and easily, right? So please do this, even if it's only you. My goal here at White Label Suite, my goal and Kyle's goal and Johan's goal and all of our team, my goal is to make sure that it's not only you within the next 30 days. Because I promise you, as soon as you can get freedom of time, your income will increase. As soon as you start doing less, you will make more. Right? It's completely weird. Right? And again, just purely relating on a personal basis, the freedom of time that the systems Kyle has put into place with White Label Suite allowed me in January, February, along with Kyle, to spend a few hours one Saturday morning just chatting. And that chat will probably relate to millions of dollars worth of business down the path. Wouldn't have had that time if it hadn't been the systems that have been running, right? So guys, take the time. When people say work on your business or in your business, what they actually mean is step back, stop doing, and just put it on paper. Show us what it looks like. Yeah? Show us what that can be. All right. So Potty said, do we do similarly to Extendly? No, we love Extendly. They're amazing. They support And that's a great way to bring someone into the GHL world, Potty, is being able to use extendly. All right, cool. Dave, you had a follow-up question there, man. Let's jump across to Dave and do that. Go for it, man.
Yeah, I align with everything that you've said, Walt. And the challenge, don't know if I can speak for everybody else, but for myself, is I've been with you for a long time, and every month that goes by, you keep getting better. You keep updating. You keep coming up with new stuff. So in the coaching world, there's a lot of people in this world that have a pretty good mind. To differentiate from them, when I latched on to you, I said, okay, through Walt Bayless and whatever he comes up with, I'm going to build my system. So I needed to learn the system, and it keeps improving. So once I got to the point where I got it, I started to build it. So to have somebody else do that, that's where I have a fuzzy picture, because I have invested a lot of time, thought, and knowledge with what you created, Walton Company. So to bring somebody from the street into that, I want to have a finished system. So because of your upgrades and your outstanding tools, which there are few and far between, I finally got to the point, the lead system being the last point. That was the missing piece in my business.
Nice.
So I could teach you how to get leads, but now I have the ability to actually say, okay, let's proactively go get your target customer.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
my system is going to be finished being built in about 1 week.
Amazing. Wow. Good
And
job.
I have invested, like you said, yes, I could have made a lot more money if I didn't, but I needed to do it. I saw what I had in the bank. I needed to do it because I want to tell people who ask me to get into it with them and help
absolutely.
them.
So hasn't that leveled up your service? So from here on in though now,
Way
Dave,
leveled it up, Walt.
like you've learned an incredibly valuable skill, which in your business has added asset value to your offering, right? So again, when we're talking about increasing in value, learning that skill for you in your business allows you to teach it, right? So you get an infinite return on that investment. Absolutely. But Dave, again, here's the key. You got to get on stage now, bro, because the set's built. You got to get on stage. You got to get people in front of you. And the only way you can do that is have a team, create that ability for you to perform at your best, at your most energized and your highest level whenever you're speaking to somebody, and let the system that you've built run. Now that you've built it, amazing. Get somebody else to come in and run those steps. Like you get those SOPs, standard operating procedures, SOPs. This is how you run this part of the business. This is how you run that part of the business. Inside of our community, you'll see that there are 60 plus SOPs that have been put together by Mr. Kyle and others that you can come in and how do I do this? And there's SOPs that have been pre-written. They're all in the community. Jump in and have a look. That way you can give that task up. So Dave, I hear you. You saw that there was a gap in your knowledge and you've taken the time to build that out. Again, that's about improving your craft. Yeah. So your craft is helping people in their business get better. That's about improving your craft so that when you stand on stage, you're better than you were. That's Michael Jordan throwing 1,000 free throws before he even starts practice, because that's what made him Michael Jordan, is the practicing the craft. He wasn't out, I don't know, paddling a kayak. He was throwing free throws, right? He was practicing his craft. That's what made him Michael Jordan. So you've invested the time to learn an incredibly valuable skill that, Dave, now you get to leverage the return on that, because now you can teach others, and what you've invested, you get to get return on over and over and over again. My point being this, and guys, again, please hear me in this. Once you have got the system, then you just need to focus on the 20% of your activity that brings in 80% of your result.
Right as law.
Right? And that's, I hope that's the same message you're taking to your people. Focus on the 20% of your activity that brings in 80% of your result, right? Here's what I suck at. I told you what I'm good at. I'm great. Hold that book up, Mr. Kyle. This book by Dan Sullivan, you guys, go and buy it. Best business investment you'll ever make. $30. It'll change your world. 10x is easier than 2x. Go and let's do it as an exercise. Guys, who can think of 5 different ways to double their business in the next 90 days? You don't have to write down the actual ways, but if you can think of 5 different ways to double your business, drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can think of 5 ways that you could double your business. Let's see. Who thinks they could come up with 5 ways? Like, I'm not putting a timeline on it. Could you come up with 5 ways in, before tomorrow? Right now, I am putting a timeline on it. Yeah, cool. We could come up with 5 ways. I could come up with 5 ways to double my business. All right. Who else could do it? I could come up with 5 ways. Yeah, cool. All right. So the problem is that question's a trap, right? Because if I can think of 5 different ways that I can double my business, I won't do any of them well. Right? And what that book talks about is that you might come up with 100 ways to double your business. And they're all busy. They're all just like crazy busy. The book's called 10x is easier than 2x by Dan Sullivan. But so here's a much better question. What can I do in the next 90 days to 10x my business? Now you go, oh, shit. Brain turns on, power starts to flow, 10x the business. Damn, I don't even know if that's possible. Let me ask you something. If it was possible, what would need to be true? If it was possible to 10x your business in the next 90 days, what would need to be true to allow that to happen? You say, well, if I was going to 10x my business, there's probably only one way I could do that. And that would mean I'd have to have this piece of the puzzle and that piece of the puzzle. And I need to have, I as an entrepreneur could understand what I need to do to 10x. There's only one way it's going to happen. All right. And then my response to you is going to be, well, then shouldn't that be what you're focusing all your time on? 10x is actually easier than 2x because it means stripping away all the stuff, all the noise that doesn't allow you to perform at your best. It means taking your tasks and giving it to someone else who's really good at it. What I said, I suck at detail. Mr. Kyle is amazing at detail, right? I suck at organization. My VA, Carla, is amazing at organization. What does that mean? That means I get to turn up here and I get to perform at my best because today's a show day. Now, does that elevate my business when I get to turn up at my best because my team are looking after the other stuff that I'm not great at, right? There's only one way you can 10x, maybe, but it means doing less than you're doing now. And it means focusing on that one point of brilliance to the exclusion of everything else. Yeah. Tyler, you've had your hand up for a while. Let me see if I can unmute Tyler and say hi to the man. Hey, dude.
Greetings, salutations.
Good to see you,
Thanks,
brother.
Walt. I showed up late for the party, so I'm sure I missed a good chunk of the.
All right, man.
meat.
We still got soda pop and fairy bread out the back right there for you.
Love it. So I have a technical question. I know this is a little off topic and
Sure.
probably only take 30 seconds to answer, but I have a client who's using my white labeled version is called Lead Getter Thingy.
Nice.
That's my Comet Suite. So they have multiple sales reps, and when they go into the system and do searches, they're wondering if one guy does a search one day, and then let's say a month later, another guy goes in and does another search in the same area, and they pull up similar results. Are they going to be charged another set of credits?
Great question. Great question. Easy to answer. You're right. Should only take me 30 seconds, but you don't know me that well. It never takes me 30 seconds to answer anything. The answer is simple. Any searches done in the same list will never duplicate and will never cost you more credits. So if you're searching, let's say New York City for a particular type of business, so long as the person who's coming in a month searches New York City for that same business, puts them in the same list. We used to call them campaigns, but now you'll see them as called lists in our program. If they're in the same list, it won't duplicate and you'll never burn additional credits. If you create a list and search in New York City, and then the guy a month later creates a list and searches in New York City, the system will duplicate. It'll give you the same results because it's basically said, oh, you're creating these lists for different reasons. Maybe you're running different campaigns for those same people, whatever it might be. Any results in the same list won't duplicate. Any results in different lists will. And so if you want to save your credits, break your lists down into territories that everybody can use the same lists. But if you're not so concerned about that, each person can create their own lists and go with that. So the answer is nothing duplicates if it's in the same list.
Okay. That makes sense. Now, would it be, I guess, appropriate, because let's say somebody creates their own list, they add tags to that list, and then, the source title or whatever for that list. And within GHL, we've got automations set up to where if this person's tag is on this list and then it gets imported, it creates all these automations.
Amazing.
I guess, how would you go about that? Would you have the new sales rep go into that same list, just update the tags while they're doing the search kind of thing?
Yeah, so it depends on the process. I come back to that Cheshire Cat thing, right? So if you don't much care where you end up, it doesn't really much care which path you choose. But if you do care, then you need to find a way. If you care about the fact that that rep is looking at that lead and needs to be on that automation with that tag, it might be worth the extra credit, right? In which case, create the new list, create the tags, all that kind of stuff. So it's a question of value. Yeah? It's a question of value. Is it more valuable to me that the individual reps have their own tags, automations, and systems set up, in which case credits don't mean anything? I just want that rep to have his own thing. The value to me is in the uniqueness of the tags and the whatever. Then I need to create a new list, bugger the credits, right? So then if the value is I want to get as many searches as I can for my credits, then the value is in not burning the credits, in which case keep them all in the same list, in which case, as you said, Tyler, you could go into that, update the tag and re-import it back in, right? So just because you've sent it across to your CRM program doesn't mean you can't send it again. So I can get that same rep, go into that same list, update my tags and resend it to my CRM. And those new tags would be applied, which means my new automations will be applied, all that kind of stuff. So it's a question of value. Is it more valuable? Is it more valuable to have a unique record with a unique rep with a tag and the settings that I've got? Or is it more valuable to maintain, as minimal credit uses as I can?
Right. Okay,
Potty,
that's helpful.
I'll answer that in a sec for Potty as well. Yeah, is that helpful, Tyler?
It is. The challenge I'm running into with these guys is they keep stepping on each other's toes. They're like, hey, this guy was already my client. I'm already been reaching out to them, and now all of a sudden it's assigned to you, and I already spent a month on this guy. And they're also like, hey, and this is actually a question for you and the dev team. Do you think there will ever be a day where we could have White Label Suite talk to GHL when doing a search, and if the contact is already in GHL, basically don't have it show up in the search results? Because they're like, okay,
because they're separate applications, and that would need us to read a database, get that database, and then no, it's not going to happen. But so you're going to hate my. Do you want to hear my solution? You're going to hate it. Do you want to hear it?
Of course I do.
Okay. The solution is systems. The solution is systems for your reps. And I do not know the business, so my answer is naive. But if the problem is that I've already been working on this guy for a month and now it's assigned to you, then that's a systems problem. That's actually and it could be as simple as this, Tyler. It could be as simple as this. Cool. What systems do your reps have for the territories that they're focusing on?
Okay.
Yeah. So it could be as simple as you take everything north of the bridge and I take everything south of the bridge. Problem solved. Right? It's a systems problem internally. It's a method of the reps being controlled and managed. Now, if our system looks like this, welcome aboard, here's your cell phone, go and get as many customers as you can, then the problem that you're going to face is I've been working with that guy for a month and now it's assigned to you. And hey, now we've got a battle. And the system might be just arm up and get in the ring and see who wins. But the reality is that if that's a problem for the business, it's a systems problem. How do they manage the territories for their reps? That'll come back. Yeah. Tools can only work within the frameworks of the systems given. Cool.
Cool. Thank you.
Amazing. All right, guys. We're just about out of time. I just want to, so let me just put a bow on this for us, guys. Unless anybody's got any other questions, I can see Kyle frantically answering people in there. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. All right. So let me put a bow on this for you guys. Everybody here and everybody that you'll ever come across as a business owner, myself included, are building this for the freedom that it gives us. And in that book that Kyle just referenced, there's 4 freedoms that we're all trying to attain. Freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of relationships, meaning I get to spend time with whoever the heck I want to, and freedom of purpose, meaning I get to live my life on the way that I want to live it. Those are the 4 freedoms that we're all trying to achieve as entrepreneurs. So let me wrap up our training here. Our goal is to allow you to achieve freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of relationships, freedom of purpose. Our goal is to help you as a business owner achieve those freedoms. One of the most important things you can do in the pursuit of those freedoms is to create maps and systems that allow your business to free you up to focus on what you want to do. Again, change my wording there, Dave, based on your feedback. It's not to be able to step back from the business, to allow you to the freedom to choose to spend your time in the way you want to choose to spend it, right? So what you need to do is have the systems that somebody can run for you so that you can stand on stage and perform. Yeah, whatever that looks like for you. So go back through this training, please, guys. I invite you to do so. Share this if you'd like. We've got a very, very limited window of time where our community is a free community. So if there are people that should be here that aren't, invite them, all right? And you guys can see that on my screen right now. If you want to take a screenshot, you can share that with them. The free value in our community, the weekly calls, the systems that we're putting in place, the SOPs, the frameworks are available for free, and you can share that with your people. You can share that with your team if you want to, whatever it takes for you to be able to achieve that freedom. Yeah. So now I don't know how to turn that off, but that's okay. We can wrap it up. So my point being, and as I said, let's wrap this up, is that we're putting together a system of training this particular month on how to create and achieve freedom for yourself. Steve last week talking about quick wins, being able to generate customers quickly. Next week, we've got Jeff Hunter, the CEO of VA Staffer, coming in talking to us about how VAs combined with AI can create incredible freedoms that allow you to stand on stage and perform. And let me tell you, that's what people are buying the tickets for. They're buying the tickets to come to you. Yeah. So come along next week, share this. If you want to get anybody else who you want to come along and be part of it as well, whoever should be here. And come along to Jeff next week. And guys, what we're trying to put together for you is a framework that allows you to achieve freedom by generating more leads, by creating more success in your business, and by creating the SOPs and systems in your business that create the freedom that we're all here for. Kyle, thank you so much for putting this together. We appreciate you. There's nobody better. And guys, we look forward to seeing you all on the next call. All right.
Thank you guys. And one thing too, I've gotten this question. If you've already registered this month, you guys do not have to register every week. So just so you know, you'll keep getting the reminders for the calls 24 hours before, hour before, 10 minutes, 3 minutes after. We've set that up. So if you've registered this month, you're good to go. Yeah, don't feel like you've got to register every week, but you'll continue to get those reminders from us.
Beautiful. Amazing. All right, guys, let's go and get it. Think about your maps. Take that 10 minutes with a cold beer or a cup of coffee, whatever's your poison. Sit down and map that out. you'll be super thankful that you do over time. All right, guys. Tyler, are you grandfathered into the community? Yeah, man. Absolutely. You're great grandfathered in. We couldn't do it without you. All right. You guys are amazing. See you in the next call. Thank you, Carl.
Thanks, guys.